Yeah, they got you up on the stage. They got you in their little dance. I'm going to call this one platform gaslighting. I don't know where I come up with the names of all these things. I guess they're just inspired. We've talked about hindrance gaslighting, and I guess that's kind of similar to this. But platform gaslighting is when you have all these different scenarios that targeted individuals deal with, people who deal with group harassment. And after a while, things, well, they begin to conglomerate. Things begin to compile. And I was listening to a guy's channel, and he was talking about some of his experiences, in workplace harassment. And, he focuses more on the narcissist type of mentality. But I look at this, a little differently. I think that's definitely a component to it, obviously. But there's more to it because these things, well, they are synchronized together. They are compiled together to create an effect. And the effect is, well, it's kind of like that video I made called Convoluted. Right? You get into that reciprocal conversation where one question always leads to another. It just never ends. It's like the little picture you're looking at. You are put in the spotlight and you're left to explain yourself, right? There's all kinds of little different issues. And the guy on the channel that was talking about his experiences, he was getting drilled in a job interview, right? Why did you leave your job, in a year? And why did you do this? Why did you do that? And of course, the targeted individual is dealing with a situation that's labyrinthian, right? And, like I said, one question just leads to another. And if they want to get you in that spotlight, if they get you up on that platform, on the stage, where you have to explain, legitimately, you better be good at it too. What's going on, and you can't really tell the truth, right? That's the key. You can't, because, there might be things that are legitimate. You might leave a job for another opportunity or whatever, but a lot of times you're dealing with workplace harassment, right? And what are you going to say? Are you going to start telling people that you are the victim of a conspiracy? That's not going to go over well, because what's going to happen now? That's right. That's just going to lead to one more question. And then, of course, that's going to lead to a set of infinite questions. And there you are, looking crazier and more insane as the time goes on. It just never ends. You get up on that platform and you're going to be doing the dance. They've got you, like little Pinocchio with a bunch of strings attached to you. And you're trying to explain, how all these things are, why you have the cameras, why you do this, why you do that, why you have chosen, to live the way you are living or whatever. Why don't you have the house with the white picket fence and the family and a bunch of normals? So what's wrong with you? What's going on? What are you doing? And it never ends. And that's one of the tricks to this whole thing. And at the fundamental base level, at the platform, where you have your feet, make no mistake, that was generated. I don't care if it's just a narrative that is in your mind. I don't care what it is. The targeted individual is getting attacked on a spiritual level as well. And, some of those things are invisible. And I've talked about that before. You might wake up in the morning. You might have had strange dreams or whatever. You might wake up thinking about something that agitates you. You might get a lot of strange things that you're thinking about. You might feel anxious. People are affected by a lot of different things, and I don't think that we understand fully how the spiritual dimension interacts with us. Anxiety, depression, hopelessness, All kinds of things can be generated, and they are manipulations, and they are part of that medium. They are setting the stage, so to speak, and they're creating a platform for you. And you have to try to dance on it and look normal. I've told people before that telling people the truth about a situation that especially involves intense harassment is, it's not even really possible. It doesn't work out for you. You better be able to make up those little white lies because, first of all, it's no one's business really anyway. Okay? And when they are intruding, I don't care if it's a job interview, I don't care what it is. They really don't have a place to be asking you all those questions. And, the way, group harassment is designed, sometimes the questions are legitimate, but you got to remember to answer them correctly. I've gone into, set up bank accounts, for example, and I've had trouble with, people hacking the phone. You guys know all about that. And I just decided probably about, it was a couple of years ago or a year and a half ago, that online banking is just not going to work. Okay, I had to go in and reset my password 7 times, right? And I know that somebody was playing around. Okay, that was obvious. And it was a little game. And so, you know what? It's actually a pretty good example of what to do because you don't need it. You don't need to do online banking. You don't. There are plenty of, depending on where you go do your banking, there are plenty of ATM machines. And, if you really have a question, nothing like, dropping by and talking to, a human being, if you can. And just keep it simple. If you want to monitor your account, that's what I did. I just stop into the ATM and take a look at it, while I'm out delivering or whatever, and blam. That's as far as it went. But it was frustrating. And, I knew something was going on. Nobody stole any money or anything like that, but they were, being funky, and it was setting off alerts so that, the account would be flagged, and then it would be shut down, and I wouldn't be able to get into it. I'd have to go reset my password. And it was fun for a while. But what do you say? Okay, I went in to start another bank account, and it was like, oh yeah, we have this little online thing, and you want to set it up? No, I don't do online banking. Well, why? Why not? Well, I think it's probably a good idea that I don't. Because, the job I do, sometimes people hack. And I gave a good excuse, which is legitimate. Somebody tried to hack into my Uber account, and they actually had to shut me down for a little while. It was about, 2.5, 3 years ago. And I'm pretty sure that, I don't know that for a fact, but I'm pretty sure it was probably the people that are harassing me. Might not have been. It might have been a freak thing. Sometimes those guys, get their accounts, hacked or whatever. But whatever. And, it was an excuse. It was legitimate. I didn't have to, go into a whole line of questioning to explain that I was a victim of some type of conspiracy, right? Because that's what they want. And they have set that stage. They have set the platform for dysfunction, for you to have, abnormalities, that you have to deal with. And you're just going to have to come up with reasonable answers for that stuff. Making you look weird, making you look freaky, making you look like maybe even a pathological liar is part of discrediting you. Okay, and then, of course, there's the psychological criteria for diagnosing somebody as, wacky, right? If people are after you, right? That's one of the flags. And everybody, when they hear something like that, they either want to ask more questions or they just, want to get away from you because they think that you are nuts. They think you're crazy. And that's, what happens to targeted individuals. That's why you have to learn how to answer questions in a clever way, in a way that, it's kind of like being a politician, I was watching Ted Cruz nail the guy from TikTok. I don't know if you guys watched that one. He went after him, a simple yes or no question, and he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. And it kind of reminded me of what I have to do because, when it comes down to, getting in a fix or in a situation that you have to explain what's going on, like when the cops were coming out, right? Well, why in the world would your family be calling us, if nothing was wrong, right? So I had to wait until it became ridiculous in order for, the credibility of the accuser to be diminished to where I could, say, hey, they're trying to cause trouble. If I would have said that the first time that they came out there, I would have been in trouble. I don't know why. Are you sure that was them? Maybe it was a prank. Maybe they're angry because I haven't picked up the phone. You have to think of something reasonable. There's a family feud or whatever, but you can't say, what's going on. My family is, in a little group harassment thing to drive me crazy and either put me away or drive me to suicide. Oh, really? Okay, no problem. We'll see you later. That's not something that you can tell the police if they show up. Or if, I've mentioned other situations where, targeted individuals can even be further compromised, right? I've talked about the fact that a lot of times targeted individuals get driven out of their dwelling. Depends on the attacks. I hear a lot of people who complain, about the targeting that they are receiving, but, it can get really bad. It can get to the point where, targeted individuals are driven out and they become homeless. A lot of times, maybe due to, a DUI or some other type of, whatever, the targeted individual can't do gig work. I've run into people that can't do that stuff. And, workplace harassment can get pretty rough. And without income, well, you're in trouble, and you're living in a vehicle or whatever, and then what happens? Well, they can harass you from there. And they might, do something. They might actually, covertly drug you or something like that, or just cause trouble. And, your credibility is even further down because now you are somebody who's unemployed. You're living in a vehicle, which doesn't look good, especially if you're in a Walmart parking lot or something like that, surrounded by people who are just too methed out to keep a job, not to criticize them. They need help. Everybody needs help. But that's what happens. And then, the stalkers, well, they can do that, right? It's one thing for them to, make a complaint or an accusation and the cops show up at your house. It's another thing when you're in a vehicle, and they've kept you up, for who knows how long. And you're strung out because you're sleep deprived and you're stressed and you're unemployed and you're just sitting there. And at that point, you're standing on a pretty shaky platform. Got to do some pretty good dancing at that point. And the conglomerated situation of the targeted individual has reciprocity too. If you answer one of those questions wrong or you do the wrong dance, you're in trouble. If you say, "Oh, I'm experiencing sleep deprivation because I'm a targeted individual. I've been getting noise campaigns." You don't have any evidence of that. You're in trouble. You'd be far better off lying and saying, "Oh, I just have insomnia," right? What are they going to say at that point? And if you do the wrong dance, it's like playing the video game or something like Missile Command or something. You miss one of them. You miss another one, and pretty soon it's coming in on you. And they will bring it down on you. That's how it's designed. That's the whole thing. Situational appropriation is one of the things that you have to know. Targeted individuals get to work on their poker face a lot because that's really all you got. You can't tell people what you're experiencing. If you do, you're in trouble. Guys, Be good to yourselves. Be safe.